I'm pouring a cement slab, but I've never done it before. Will it turn out correctly?
Hola, I'm Socket, the backyard mechanic. Everybody says I stole the show last video, so I figured I would take over and literally steal the show.
Socket, dinner time.
Oh, excuse me.
Let's cue that up again. Hola! I'm Mike, the backyard mechanic, and I want an air-conditioned garage. Yes, this is the right video. Before I can install an AC, I need a place to put the outside unit. Because of the HOA, I need to hide my unit in the back. Yeah, I heard it. And there's no place for a wall mount, so a cement pad is needed. The pad will be about 2 by 4 feet, 4 inches thick, and I'll be mixing the cement by hand with a shovel. No mechanical mixer. And yes, I do make a mistake. A couple, really. I'll go over them shortly. So you know, I will be using the terms cement and concrete interchangeably, but they are not the same thing. Cement is actually the binder in concrete, which is a composite material made of cement, water, and aggregates like sand and gravel. Words. Ugh. There must be some way to write these scripts without having to use them. If you're here for the basic steps and timing, I won't disappoint. This is the place for PYOC. Pour your own concrete. I'll explain the steps right away and then follow up with the actual work along with the real reason you're here, my dad jokes and dumb puns. Step 1, preparation. Do this before the actual pour day. You want to leave all day for pouring. The pad I'm pouring is light duty.
Yeah.
No, bad. I said no jokes during this part. Excavate the area, add the form, tamp the soil, add a gravel base, tamp the gravel. Place the reinforcement, wire mesh or rebar if necessary. Step 2, mixing and pouring concrete. Allow 1 hour. Pour in sections and work quickly to avoid it drying out too fast. Step 3, screeding and leveling within 15 to 30 minutes of pouring. Immediately after pouring, have a straight 2 by 4 board ready and screed the wet concrete. Step 4, floating, 30 to 60 minutes after pouring. Once water starts to rise to the surface, use a bowl float or a hand trowel to smooth out the slab. Step 5, edging and grooving, 1 to 2 hours after pouring. When the surface holds its shape but is still soft, use an edger to round the edges, which prevents chipping. Step 6, finishing touches, 2 to 4 hours after pouring. Once the surface firms up, apply a steel trowel for a smoother finish. Step 7, curing starts, 4 to 6 hours after pouring. For strength and development, keep the slab moist. Cover with plastic sheeting or wet burlap to slow drying. Then lightly spray the slab with water for at least 7 days, especially in hot weather. Step 8, remove the form, 24 hours after pouring. The concrete is ready to be walkable in 24 to 48 hours after pouring. For light loads like furniture or tools, in 3 to 7 days. For heavy loads like vehicles or structures, wait 28 days for full strength. Before showing you how to pour cement, first a word about my channel sponsor, Crazy Dog T-Shirts. If you watch my channel, you know that I don't wear the same shirt twice because, I don't know, that's how Hollywood does it. Well, I can't afford all that without help, and Crazy Dog stepped in. Now I have enough shirts for, well, about 3 more videos. So I need your help. Buy something from Crazy Dog. Use my code, MikeMech20. You have to use the code. You'll get 20% off, and I get credit. Get this shirt. That's a good shirt. Or get a coffee mug. Actually, don't do that. Do buy something from Crazy Dog. Link in the description. Large forms need to be built in place, but this one's only going to be 2 by 4 feet, so I can build it in the garage. The boards are cut and holes are drilled for the screws. You want to use screws, not nails, so it'll be easier to take apart. To ensure everything stays square, I use some scrap OSB on the corners to hold it in position. To keep the corner square while adding the OSB, you want to clamp it.
Well, doggy.
The location of the inner unit is driven by where the outer unit goes. Although, I guess they kind of work together. The thing to note is the coolant lines and the drain lines need to come out of the back of the inner unit on a downward angle. Even though this may seem obvious, my original thought was to put it on this wall and run the lines up into the attic and down an outside wall. But that idea defies physics. Anyway, the unit will go here, the lines will run through the wall and down, then back through the fence, and the outer unit will go here, where this patio block is. The patio block is moved and some leaves raked up. I made sure it was parallel to the fence. Then with my speed square, I determined how much out of level the ground is. I'll have to dig 2 inches more from one side than the other. I got some yard paint, which is definitely not worth $10, and painted the location of the form. Next, the hole needs to be dug. Or in construction parlance, I excavated a slab on grade. It's just a hole. The minimum thickness for a light-duty pad is 4 inches. Anything less than that is prone to cracking from weight or the ground shifting. The shallow side needs to be deep enough to handle 2 inches of gravel for the base and will need to be about 3 inches deep, while the other side is about 5 inches deep. I couldn't find cheap stakes at Home Depot, so I bought a 1x2 for a few bucks and cut my own, which is made easy with this Ryobi radial arm saw that I bought used, including the stand, for 150 bucks. Pound in the first stake and make it flush or below flush at the form. Hopefully you have a hammer like this and not one like this. Saying it for a friend. The second stake needs to be pounded in with a little more attention to accuracy so that it is parallel to the fence with the first stake. I went ahead and screwed the stakes to the form so the form wouldn't move while doing the remaining stakes. I had to do a pretty serious angle on the lower screw on the deep side because of the lack of room for the drill driver. Stakes 3 and 4 are pounded in and screwed into place. I then added stakes on the ends, possibly overkill, but I didn't want the form to shift side to side. The corner supports can now be removed. The form is complete and ready for gravel. For a brief aside, or actually as an aside to the aside, I did know that it was spelled barrow and not barrel, but I thought it was 2 words, so I'm glad I looked it up and didn't continue my avalanche of messing up common words. I did not have one when I started this project, so I bought a Gorilla wheelbarrow, which I've been pretty happy with. It was a project that was started on the spur of the moment based on nice weather in the early spring. I ordered the wheelbarrow, but I had to wait a couple of days for it to arrive. In the meantime, you don't want to put the dirt on the grass or it'll be hard to clean up. I had this container, which was a city recycle bin, left over from a previous house I owned. Instead of the traditional one-wheel version, I got a 4-wheel wagon that I figured to be more versatile, especially when it comes time to build my shed. It might be a little on the small side though. I would have trouble moving a body with it. Not that I'd ever use it for that exact reason. It's just a reference point. I shoveled the dirt out of the recycle bin and into the wheelbarrow. It's always a challenge to get rid of extra dirt. The ground on the side of my house has eroded, like most houses around here, so a lot of dirt can naturally be added. However, that didn't take all the dirt. So I went to the side of my neighbor's house, and after ensuring the coast was clear, I was able to safely get rid of the rest of the dirt. Now that I have a wheelbarrow and can move dirt around, I can deepen my hole. After finishing the dig, the dirt is tamped down. With it deep enough, 2 bags of gravel are added to my hole, enough to be about 2 inches deep. The gravel is tamped down. On a slab of this size, reinforcement is optional. I decided to do it because it's my first time mixing concrete, and if it turns out to not be as strong as it should, the reinforcement should hold it together. A typical reinforcement is rebar. I looked into it for my slab, but Home Depot didn't have any short pieces, and I currently don't have an angle grinder to cut up a long piece. Also, the reinforcement should be suspended, meaning it should not touch the ground, or it'll corrode and rust and ruin the integrity. Sounds like my integrity. Home Depot has these rebar chairs, which is a weird name, but they come in packs of 50. I don't need 50, I need like 8. Steel mesh is another option for reinforcement. Although I would have preferred something with a large mesh, the options were limited by price and size. I don't need 150 feet. I'm not fencing in cattle. I settled on this 1/2-inch mesh for 13 bucks. For the mesh chair, I bought a cheap patio block. Using a punch and hammer, I broke the patio block in half, half again, and half again. Now I have some small pieces I can use to raise the mesh. Yes, the blocks are setting on the gravel and not the ground, but the water can still rise up through the gravel. The screen was cut to size with tin snips and laid on the blocks. I used the rest of the patio block as weights to hold down the curve of the mesh. I'm now ready to pour concrete into my hole. Start early, preferably in the morning. Soak the gravel in form before pouring. I got 4 80-pound bags of Quikrete. This was my big mistake. More on that in a minute. Now, I'm not exactly the healthiest guy, but it can't be good for you to breathe in cement dust. Before opening any of the bags, wear a respirator. Drop the bag into the mixing tub. I bought this mixing tub from Home Depot for $17. Chop the bag with the tool. I'm using the edger and dump out the cement. Measure 3 quarts of water and be sure to splash some on the camera lens, which will ruin subsequent shots. I just dumped it in there, but that's not advisable. You should add a little at a time so as not to add too much water, which would reduce the strength of the concrete. The mixed concrete should be similar to thick oatmeal. Mix concrete using a shovel. Just do 1 bag at a time. Cement is hard. I mean, it's hard to mix. It's really heavy and difficult to move around. I added a little bit more water. This was my mistake. Instead of 4 80-pound bags, I should have bought 5 60-pound bags. That would have been significantly easier to mix, literally 25% easier, and I wouldn't have had to add that little bit of extra water, which I'm sure has weakened my slab. I'm not as worried about the extra water. I was simply struggling to push around 80 pounds of concrete, so I went and I worked out to build up my muscles. Socket helped, but I think he was secretly laughing at me. Now I have the strength and the job went much faster. After mixing, the contents of the tub is dumped into my hole. Rinse and repeat. Well, you don't rinse, at least not yet. After the second bag, I tamp down with my dirty hoe to push the wet concrete through the overly small holes of the mesh. After 3 bags, my hole is not quite filled. I used a half a bag and half the water, which I kind of eyeballed. This is really when the water should have been added a little at a time. But 40 pounds of concrete is much easier to mix and more importantly, faster. The final pour of concrete should be within 60 to 90 minutes of when you add the first water, or you will be adding fresh concrete to partially set concrete. I used about half of this half a bag, and now it's time for Screed.
Just pretend like we're talking until the cops leave.
I mean, it's time to Screed. There was a nice straight 2x4 ready because you want to do this right away after pouring. After scraping off the excess cement in the final Screed, I cheated a little and did a little smoothing with the float tool to fix my subpar Screed job. Now, while waiting an hour to do the floating, I can do some cleanup. My neighbor left the gate to his backyard open, so this is a great place to dump out the extra cement and rinse out my tub. After an hour, the concrete was set enough for me to do both edging and floating. I did the edging first. You have to lift an edge of the edger up so it doesn't cut into the cement. Edging is a good idea. You don't want sharp corners on your slab or it'll be prone to chipping, cracking, and breaking, kind of like me. I used a wooden trowel next. I was looking to remove the trails left from the edger and get the surface as smooth as possible, of which I kind of failed. I bought a wooden trowel because it was half the price of the steel trowel, but I think I would have gotten a better surface with the steel one. If you haven't already, like this video. I am, after all, the Wonder Bread of YouTube. That's supposed to be Wunderkind. Damn autocorrect. It's about 24 hours later and the cement is set enough to be walked on. The form can be removed. All the screws were removed from the stakes. After removing the stakes, I used a pry bar on the front of the form. With one board loose, I was able to pull the whole form off at once and throw it into the neighbor's yard. Some of the loose gravel was cleaned up and the gaps were filled in with the remainder of my loose dirt. The fresh pad was covered with a moving blanket and I soaked it with water. It was weighted down so it doesn't blow away when the water dries. I soaked the blanket every day for the next week. This keeps the outside of the concrete from curing faster than the inside. And this is the final result. I poured my first concrete pad. All my little patio needs now is a little pool. Yes, cement cures. It doesn't dry. Curing is the continued hydration of the cement particles, which is the chemical reaction with water that causes the concrete to harden and gain strength. If it just dried, it would turn back into powder. Although technically after it cures, the remaining water dries. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Mike, how can you afford to pour cement? Well, first of all, it's not that expensive. I'm training for the 2028 Olympics. It's a new event, extreme parallel parking. Here's a peek at my competition.
Like a glove?
I've been practicing for weeks. When I get good enough, I'll use cones. My parking is still a teensy bit rough, but I have 3 years to practice. My videos failed to help secure any funding yet, so I've had to resort to OnlyFans. I'm not getting any clicks though. How am I going to get more? I think I need more sexy juice. Oh, I have a fan online. Hey fan, did you like the video?
I saw all the cement and 2x4s in my yard. Got concrete evidence it was you.
Thanks, fan. By the way, thanks to all of you who congratulated me for my appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. I was quite honored to have been featured so prominently. No, I wasn't a guest, I was in the audience, but it was a great seat and I was highlighted in the broadcast. Here's a screenshot from the episode. Do you see me? I'll zoom in. Now do you see me? Now do you see me? This video is the third of 4 steps toward an air-conditioned garage. See the second step here, insulating your garage doors. Oh, did I say I was filling my hole? How many times did I say that?
Do you like how this sounds? You like how it comes out of the little air pockets like that?
You just gonna tear up my desk? Just gonna tear it all up? No, don't do that. Don't knock my stuff over. Don't forget to sock it. Don't do that on camera.